Did you know that Elon Musk is building his new project in a city with the same name as the ancient capital of Egypt? And that he declared, "This is where our new God will be born." This is not just technology, it is ritual. It is the rebirth of an ancient plan, a plan that involves pyramids, Mars, trapped entities, and a possible portal opening in 2025. Hello, chosen ones. You did not arrive here by chance. As the world plunges into distraction, you have been called to see. Today, we will reveal connections that have been hidden for centuries. The real function of the pyramids, the CERN as a possible portal, the return of the Nephilim, and the plan of the spiritual elites to bring the false Messiah, the Esoteric Christ. This video is not just an investigation, it is a spiritual alert, and perhaps the most important one you have ever watched. Write in the comments where you are watching us from. It is important for us to know how far this frequency is reaching. Subscribe to the channel and activate the bell. Here, each video is another piece in the puzzle of the end times. Share this video with those who are still sleeping. And if something makes sense to you, leave a like. Not for us, but so that the truth continues to reach those who need to awaken. Now take a deep breath, because what will be revealed here may shake everything you thought you knew about history, spirituality, and the final plan that is unfolding now before our eyes. You are listening to Final Frequency. There is a direct connection between the hidden structures of the pyramids and the projects that Elon Musk is developing. This is not a coincidence. Egypt has always had a mysterious relationship with the planet Mars. And not by chance, Mars is also an obsession for Elon Musk. He has publicly stated that he sees himself as a kind of reincarnated Ramses II. But why this fixation? Today we will understand the importance of Ramses II within occultism. Figures like Alan Moore, for example, explore this symbolism in their works, such as in the comics and the movie Watchmen, where Egyptian elements appear as central pieces in a plot that mixes power, spirituality, and mass destruction. But before we dive into this, we need to go back to an enigmatic event, the Tunguska incident, which occurred in 1908. At that time, a devastating explosion occurred over the forests of Siberia, destroying more than 30 million trees in a gigantic area. And to this day, no one knows exactly what caused it. The object exploded in the air without touching the ground, and yet generated destruction of apocalyptic proportions. The question is, why didn't it crash into the earth? According to Russian researcher Dr. Valery Uvarov, this was not just luck. It was the result of ancient technology, something that modern science refuses to consider. Uvarov is one of the leading authorities on ufology and paleotechnology. He was the head of the Department of UFO Research, Paleoscience, and Paleotechnology at the Russian Academy of National Security. For over 15 years, he has dedicated himself to studying the legacy of ancient civilizations and technologies forgotten by time. Fluent in English, Uvarov has participated in various international conferences, including events sponsored by global elites. In one of his most revealing interviews, he explained that the Tunguska meteor was intercepted by automated technology hidden deep within the Earth. According to him, there are ancient structures located at strategic points on the planet with the capacity to neutralize cosmic threats. In the case of Tunguska, when the meteor approached the Earth's atmosphere, one of these structures would have been activated. An opening appeared in the ground, and from within it emerged a kind of energy cannon that destroyed the object in the air. Evidently, Russia in 1908 had no technical capability for such a thing. When asked who might have created this defense system, Uvarov was straightforward. These structures were built by ancient civilizations. This is paleotechnology. This term, paleotechnology, carries immense weight. We are talking about technologies left by beings from a distant past, perhaps non-human. with capabilities that our science is still just beginning to understand. And it is precisely from this point that we begin to connect the pieces. Now that you understand what is behind the Tunguska incident, we can dive into the true purpose of the pyramids. Far beyond royal tombs or pharaonic architectural works, they function as technological structures, or rather paleotechnological. According to researchers like Valery Uvarov, the pyramids are highly advanced energy devices. Moreover, they are capable of functioning as weapons of mass destruction. Have you noticed that the three pyramids of the Giza Plateau are perfectly aligned with the constellation of Orion? This is not a coincidence. Several ancient cultures considered Orion to be the dwelling place of the gods or the origin of superior beings. And there's an even bolder theory. The pyramids may be disconnected because they are incomplete. Their tops, the so-called capstones made of gold, were removed, perhaps to prevent the machine from operating again. Some scholars believe that if the gold tips are replaced, the pyramids could reactivate, channel cosmic energy, and open portals. Portals between dimensions, or worse, portals between our world and the underworld. Others go even further. For them, the pyramids were responsible for apocalyptic events in the past, like the flood, and could again be used to provoke global chaos. That's why many have begun to call the pyramids the new CERN. And what is CERN? CERN is the largest particle accelerator in the world, located in Switzerland. Officially, it serves to study the origin of the universe, subatomic particles, and other scientific questions. But is that all? At the main entrance of CERN, there is a statue of the Hindu god Shiva Nataraja, the destroyer of worlds. Shiva is the consort of Kali, the goddess of time, destruction, and transformation. Kali represents the Kali Yuga, the end of a cosmic cycle, the apocalypse. This choice was not random. Why would a center of Western science have as its main symbol a deity associated with the end of times? Even stranger, in 2016, a video went viral showing CERN scientists performing a satanic ritual, simulating a human sacrifice in front of the statue of Shiva. Later, they claimed it was just a prank among staff members, but is that really the case? Respected sources, such as The Guardian and Science.org, reported on the incident, and those involved were identified as credentialed scientists, not just ordinary visitors. A prank or a message. If you've read or watched Angels and Demons by Dan Brown, you'll remember that the plot connects CERN to the Illuminati, Opus Dei, and experiments of destruction and creation of matter. And as if that weren't enough, the Vatican, which theoretically has nothing to do with this, has 2 space observatories managed by Jesuits. Do you see the connection? Egypt, Mars, the pyramids, CERN, Hindu gods and Masonic symbols in various world capitals all point in the same direction. The preparation for a global event, a planetary ritual, a forced rebirth. And that is exactly what some occult prophecies claim will happen in 2025. There is a little discussed connection between the pyramids on Earth and similar structures found on Mars. But Daniel, there are no pyramids on Mars. That's the answer most would give, until they look closely at NASA's own files. The American Space Agency has published studies and images showing pyramidal formations on the Martian surface, especially in the Cydonia region. The similarities to the Egyptian pyramids are unsettling. The official explanation is that they are natural formations, sculpted by time and the winds. But is that so? What if Mars was also home to an advanced civilization? What if, just like on Earth, these pyramids were built with an energetic, military or spiritual purpose? Perhaps Mars was destroyed by a planet-wide conflict, and perhaps the survivors came here. This idea is not as absurd as it seems. Elon Musk himself has stated that when we reach Mars, we will not find living aliens, but ruins of ancient civilizations. The question is, what exactly is he searching for there? to free someone, to activate something. This idea of beings trapped for millennia, waiting to be freed, is recurring in fiction, or rather, in what we call fiction. In the movie Green Lantern, for example, we see exactly this. A malevolent being of pure energy, Parallax, is imprisoned on a desolate planet until by accident he is freed, unleashing a chain of destruction that threatens entire galaxies. Only the most powerful of the Green Lanterns, Abin Sur, was able to stop him until he died, allowing evil to escape once again. It's no coincidence. These stories are symbolic reflections of deeper truths. The same happens in Avatar, where the narrative seems to be about humans invading an alien planet. But what if it were the other way around? What if, in fact, alien entities are invading Earth? What if they are seeking modified human bodies to inhabit? At the end of Avatar, there is a ritual at the Tree of Life that allows for the complete transfer of a human soul into a hybrid body. This idea has a name: metempsychosis, the transmigration of the soul, something studied since ancient Greece but also present in modern occultist rituals. Do you begin to understand the mechanics? Genetically modified human bodies, spiritual entities imprisoned for millennia, cutting-edge technology mixed with black magic. All of this with the same goal: to restore the Age of Horus. And where does Elon Musk fit into this? In an interview with psychologist Jordan Peterson, conducted at Tesla's headquarters, Musk revealed that he is building a new data center in Memphis, Tennessee. But he made a point to remind Memphis was also the capital of ancient Egypt, and then he added, "It is in Memphis that our new god will be born." Yes, he said that. A new god. One of the mothers of his children, Artist Grimes, has openly stated on her social media, "We need to create new gods." Do you see? Elon Musk is not just seeking innovation, he is executing a larger plan, a spiritual, technological and symbolic engineering that aims to bring something or someone back. And perhaps, just perhaps, the pyramids, both on Earth and Mars, are at the center of it all. The pyramids are not just constructions, they are living symbols, energy machines, portals, and above all, instruments of an ancestral ritual aimed at bringing to Earth a very specific being, the divine child. But which child is this? To understand, we need to dive into Egyptian mythology. In it, Osiris is the god of the afterlife, murdered by his brother Set. His body is dismembered and spread throughout Egypt. Isis, his wife, finds almost all the body parts, except one, the sexual organ. What does she do? She uses an artificial phallic symbol to conceive their child, Horus, the child god, the new king, the reincarnation of Osiris. This is the central myth behind what we now know as the consecration ritual of the pharaohs. Each pharaoh, upon assuming the throne, underwent a rite in which it was believed that the spirit of Osiris descended from the world of the dead to inhabit the new royal body, transforming the pharaoh into a living god. And this did not remain in the past. Today, in modern political rituals, Egyptian symbols are still very much active. Just look at the largest capitals of the world: Washington, Paris, London, Rome, Brasilia. All have obelisks. But why? Because the obelisk represents the penis of Osiris, the creator phallic symbol. The pyramid represents the womb of Isis, the receptacle of life. The union between these two elements, according to occultism, generates the divine child. This is how a new god is created. In the United States, this is more evident than ever. In Washington, the largest obelisk in the world is the Washington Monument, a Masonic monument. Washington was, in fact, initiated into Freemasonry. And on the ceiling of the Capitol, you find the apotheosis of George Washington, where he appears floating like a deity, surrounded by gods from the Greco-Roman pantheon, and with his hand in the position of Baphomet. This is not decoration, it is ritual. During the inauguration of an American president, always held on January 20th, there is a parallel being executed. While the oath is taken in the Capitol, members of the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry are gathered, spiritually asking for the spirit of Osiris to incarnate in the new leader of the nation. In other words, for the president to become a new Horus. This idea of consecrating leaders by the spirit of a dead deity is deeply ingrained in global power. Freemasonry, the Rosicrucian Order, the Vatican, the capital of the United States, the major cities of Europe, all filled with Egyptian symbols. And why? Because this ritual has not been abandoned, it has simply modernized. The symbols remain, but now with the support of science, genetics and technology, the fusion of the ancient and the modern, spirituality and the machine. All of this to build a perfect body, a new receptacle. But for what? To receive the spirit of the ancient dead god, to bring forth the new Horus, the new global leader, the one who will come disguised as a savior, but who will actually be the Antichrist. And the tool for this, the same, the pyramid. With its sacred geometry, cosmic alignment and energetic function, it can open portals between dimensions. The imprisoned spirit of Osiris, or as they call him in other cultures, Apollyon, Abaddon, the Lord of the Abyss, can be pulled back to earth. That is the true objective. Many people do not realize, but modern science is deeply intertwined with occultism. What we call technological advancements are, in many cases, instruments to restore ancient rituals in new guises. During the 20th century, the dominant science was physics, not by chance. Physics allowed the development of nuclear weapons and particle accelerators, capable of manipulating the very structure of reality. And it was shortly after the first nuclear explosion in 1945 that the world began to witness an unprecedented phenomenon, the emergence of UFOs. 2 years later, in 1947, the famous Roswell incident occurred in New Mexico. A spacecraft allegedly crashed, bodies were recovered, and the government covered it all up. That same year, Aleister Crowley, the greatest occultist of the century, passed away. Coincidence? Not for those who understand the spiritual background of this story. Crowley claimed that humanity should enter a new spiritual era, the Age of Horus. He asserted that this era would begin with the opening of dimensional portals, allowing the return of spiritual beings that have been imprisoned in other realities for millennia. These portals began to open with nuclear experiments and secret projects like the Philadelphia experiment and the Montauk project, both focused on manipulating space-time. At the same time, another field was advancing at an impressive speed: genetics. The Human Genome Project, the company Celera Genomics, led by Craig Venter, and the first experiments with synthetic DNA paved the way for something even more frightening: the creation of hybrid bodies prepared to receive non-human spiritual entities, custom-made bodies, designed through genetic engineering and activated by rituals of black magic. Crowley spoke about this. He referred to it as Moonchild, the child of the moon, a hybrid being, born from the union of technology, ritual and spiritual possession, a new body for an ancient spirit. Do you start to see the picture? Portals opened by physics, bodies prepared by genetics, souls brought forth by rituals. This is the return of the Nephilim, beings mentioned in the Bible in the book of Genesis, chapter 6. When the sons of God, a caste of fallen angels, saw that the daughters of men were beautiful, they cohabited with them, and from these unions, giants, the Nephilim, were born, the mighty men of renown of old. These beings were destroyed by the flood, which aimed to purify the earth of this perverse mixture of DNA. But now, they are back. The Age of Horus, according to Crowley, is the era in which these spiritual beings walk the earth again within modified human bodies. It is the age of the Antichrist, not as a symbol, but as a real entity. And for this, the pyramids return to the center stage, because just like CERN, they can serve as interdimensional portals, capable of bringing into our reality those who were imprisoned. This is not fiction. It is the true purpose behind the unrestrained advance of science, technology, and modern ideologies, a plan devised millennia ago. And now, in the 21st century, it reveals itself with frightening clarity. According to various occult sources, there are books so dangerous and revealing that they have been removed from public access. They are not in common libraries. They are locked away, protected, guarded by secret societies and religious institutions like the Vatican in their underground archives. These books contain precise instructions. They reveal how to dominate the human mind, accumulate immeasurable wealth, and invoke spiritual entities. But they also reveal the truth that has been hidden from the world, the real purpose of the pyramids. The official story tells us they served as tombs, but this is just a facade. In reality, the pyramids were built based on information transmitted by beings that did not belong to this world, the same ones that tradition calls fallen angels. These beings promised the Egyptians power, knowledge, and even eternal life. In return, they demanded something: worship, obedience, and blood. They offered the pharaohs immortality, but for that, it was necessary to open dimensional portals. And this would only be possible with a specific system, energy accumulated through precise geometric structures, sacred numerology, and human sacrifices. The pyramids are aligned with the constellation of Orion, separated millimetrically in relation to the cardinal points: north, south, east, and west. None of this is by chance. This positioning generates a resonance with cosmic forces, a bridge between the physical and spiritual worlds, a mechanism to open portals between dimensions. Portals capable of freeing entities imprisoned for millennia. You may have already realized this is not human technology, it is paleotechnology, knowledge inherited directly from superior but fallen beings. These beings had a mission to destroy the people of God and prevent the fulfillment of divine promises. And for this, they invested heavily in Egypt, transforming that civilization into the center of operations of the ancient world. When you understand this, you begin to perceive why the pharaohs were treated as gods, why temples were built to align with the stars, and why so many Egyptian symbols appear even today in secret rituals and modern governments. Egypt was the first attempt to create a new world order, an empire led by men who carried within them the spirit of the dead gods, and the pyramids were the instrument, the means, the altar. They generated energy, directed cosmic vibrations, and when activated with human sacrifices, nourished the entities that wished to return to our plane. That was the hidden objective. That is still the objective. The same pattern we see in other parts of the world, pyramids in Mexico, in China, underwater in Japan, and perhaps even on Mars, shows that this plan was global, synchronized, a network of portals. And if you think all of this is in the past, remember, this network is dormant, not destroyed. And if reactivated with modern knowledge and technologies, the portals could open again. To understand how all of this connects to the present time, we need to look at one of the most impactful prophetic visions in the Bible, the statue in Nebuchadnezzar's dream, described in the book of Daniel, chapter 2. The prophet Daniel reveals to the king of Babylon that his statue represented the succession of kingdoms on earth, from ancient empires to the final empire, which would be destroyed by a stone coming down from the sky. The head of the statue was made of gold, representing the Babylonian Empire itself, the chest and arms of silver, the Medo-Persian Empire, the belly and thighs of bronze, Greece, the legs of iron, Rome. But the most intriguing part is at the base, the feet made of iron mixed with clay. What does this represent? Iron symbolizes strength, rigidity, dominance. But clay is fragile, moldable, human. The mixture of the two suggests a forced fusion between something powerful and something vulnerable, an unnatural union. And here lies the key to the mystery. Iron represents the fallen angels, the same ones who came to earth in the days of Noah. The clay represents humanity. The final empire will be a mixture of the two, exactly as described in Genesis 6, when the sons of God cohabited with the daughters of men and produced the Nephilim. This final empire is what occultists call the New World Order. A global government controlled by a hybrid elite, part human, part spiritual, just like the kings of Egypt who embodied the spirit of Osiris. And that is why Elon Musk shows fascination not only for Egypt, but also for the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire was the one that crucified Jesus Christ, and Egypt was the one that enslaved God's people. Both represent empires of the enemy, attempts to destroy divine plans throughout history. It is no coincidence that Musk declared that Memphis, where he is establishing his new tech center, is not just a city in Tennessee, it is also the ancient capital of Egypt. And it is there that, according to him, the new God will be born. And being the new God that Musk wants to create is a direct reflection of the ancient Egyptian plan to produce a perfect body to receive the spirit of Osiris, the spirit of the abyss, the false Christ, the Antichrist. But God, knowing all of this, had already prepared the counterattack. Still in Egypt, he raised Joseph, who became governor and savior of the people, and then Moses, who freed the Hebrews from slavery and broke the power of the Pharaoh. In other words, even when the enemy tries to set up his global empire, God always prepares a deliverer. Now, once again, we are facing the restoration of this ancient empire. The elite seeks to reconstruct the mystical Egypt and the hidden Roman Empire, two arms of the same body, preparing the way for the coming of the Antichrist. The Bible warns us that the feet of the statue are unstable. Iron and clay do not mix naturally. It is an empire with a fragile foundation, and it will be destroyed. Not by a human war, but by a stone cut without the aid of hands, a clear symbol of the Messiah who will come from above. But until then, the enemy's plan is in full swing. You may find that all these connections between pyramids, Elon Musk, Mars, and interdimensional portals are intriguing, but you haven't seen the most important part yet. All of this converges to a specific year, 2025. This year appears repeatedly in prophecies, esoteric books, and even in academic studies on historical cycles. The warning comes not only from the Bible, but from a vast network of authors, occultists, futurists, theosophists, and insiders. Among them are Helena Blavatsky and Alice Bailey, founders of theosophy and the spiritual movement known as the New Age. Bailey even created a publishing house originally called Lucifer Trust, later renamed Lucis Trust to avoid controversy. According to these currents, in 2025 the esoteric Christ will return to earth. But this Christ is not Jesus of Nazareth. It is a completely different spiritual entity, a false Messiah, an enlightened global leader who will bring the new world order. This return will be promoted by world leaders, global institutions, and spiritual elites like the UN and its associated bodies. But it doesn't stop there. There is an impressive book called The Fourth Turning, written in 1997 by Neil Howe and William Strauss. They studied historical cycles throughout centuries of Anglo-American history and came to a chilling conclusion. Major global crises occur every 80 years, followed by a new social order. The American Revolution, the US Civil War, the Great Depression, and World War II all occurred in cycles of 80 years. They projected that the next major turning would begin in the mid-2020s, reaching its peak by 2025. The book states, the next fourth turning will begin soon after the new millennium. Around the year 2025, America will enter a great gateway of history. The risk of catastrophe will be very high. There may be war, internal collapse, or the emergence of an authoritarian government. But there will also be the seed of a global renaissance, the death of an old order, and the birth of something new. In 2023, the authors updated the work, releasing The Fourth Turning is Here, acknowledging that the predicted events are already underway. Moreover, a Christian author and occult scholar named Thomas Horn wrote the book Zeitgeist 2025, where he claims that 2025 will be the point at which the spiritual plan of darkness reaches its climax. He speaks of the arrival of the world teacher, who, according to esotericists, will emerge to unify religions, science, and politics. A charismatic being who will resolve global crises, but who will actually be the Antichrist. In the book Apollyon Rising, Horn explains how this being will be consecrated through the same Egyptian rituals we have already discussed. In the United States, this ritual occurs at the presidential inauguration, with the Washington obelisk symbolizing the phallus of Osiris and the Capitol dome representing the womb of Isis, repeating the cycle of the incarnation of the divine son, Horus. Other authors like Joshua Goldstein and George Modelsky also predict, based on patterns of global war, that between 2025 and 2030, the world may enter widespread conflict, the so-called Fourth World War, or the collapse of the global order. And all of this aligns with the predictions of the theosophists, occultists, and the global elite planners themselves. They believe the time has come, that humanity is ready to accept a new God, a new system, a new consciousness. The esoteric Christ, the false Messiah, and that for this to happen, the old order must crumble. Wars, pandemics, economic chaos, misinformation, all of these are instruments to pave the way for the new spiritual leader of the earth. 2025 will not be an ordinary year. In everything that has been shown so far, a truth begins to emerge. None of this is random. The pyramids are more than tombs. They are energy devices, aligned with constellations, designed with sacred proportions, with a hidden function, to channel spiritual energy, open portals, and resurrect dormant entities. CERN, with its particle accelerator, is presented to the public as a center for scientific research, but with a statue of Shiva, the destroyer of worlds, at its entrance, rituals simulating human sacrifices within its facilities, and experiments with high-energy collisions, CERN presents itself as a possible, interdimensional portal, just like the pyramids. Both systems, ancient and modern, share the same goal: to bring back the dead gods. These gods, in fact, are the fallen angels described in Genesis 6, who cohabited with human women and generated the Nephilim, hybrid beings, giants, superpowered, who corrupted the earth and provoked the flood. The flood was not just a natural event, it was an act of judgment. God destroyed these beings and imprisoned the responsible angels in deep regions, which Revelation calls the abyss. But now, everything is repeating. In the past, these beings used magic and rituals to generate bodies. Today, they use science and genetics, DNA manipulation experiments, genetic editing, hybridization, printing human tissues, artificial intelligence coupled with biological bodies. All of this is creating new vessels, new perfect bodies for spiritual entities to walk the earth again. Crowley already said that the age of Horus would be marked by the presence of the gods among men. But these gods are not divine. They are the same ones that were imprisoned and are now being freed. They do not come from space. They come from the spiritual world. They are being invoked, called, pulled by technology, rituals and structures like CERN and the pyramids, and are waiting for bodies to inhabit. Movies like Avatar, which show humans transferring into alien bodies, actually reverse the real role. They are non-human entities that want modified human bodies to walk again on the physical world. And all of this has a marked date. The transition from the age of Pisces to the age of Aquarius, or as the occultists call it, the age of Horus. That is why Aleister Crowley dedicated his life to the restoration of the age of Horus. That is why he invoked entities like Lam, Babylon and Aiwass, who would be the precursors of the new time. That's why your disciples continued the work at CERN, on the Montauk Project, at HAARP, in transhumanism, and in the creation of soul-infused artificial intelligence. They want to rebuild the Tower of Babel, not with bricks, but with chips, genetic codes, and quantum particles. They want to reopen the portal, and they want to do this through pyramids, physics, magic, and blood. They want to reincarnate the ancient spirit, Osiris, Apollyon, Abaddon, in the new divine child of the global elite, the false Christ, the leader of the New World Order, the Antichrist. Everything revealed so far points to a convergence, a collision between science, spirituality, technology, occultism, and geopolitics. The pyramids are not just in the past. They are ancient keys that can open future doors. CERN is not just a particle accelerator. It is a modern reimagining of an ancient temple, ready to tear the veil between worlds. Human DNA is being rewritten. Time is being accelerated. The world is moving, unknowingly, towards an event that will not just be political, economic, or social. It will be spiritual. And 2025 is not just a date on the calendar. For many, it will mark the beginning of a new era. For others, the point of no return. Occultists call it the year of manifestation. Theosophists call it the arrival of the master. Scientists call it the point of singularity. And for those who know the scriptures, it is the prelude to the apocalypse. Perhaps you won't see wars in the streets. Perhaps you won't notice the portals opening. Perhaps the giants won't appear in the sky just yet, but they are already here. In the systems, in the symbols, in the algorithms, in the genes. They hide behind words like progress, science, evolution. But what they really want is to subvert creation and establish a hybrid reign, where man will no longer be man, and the spirit that governs will no longer be divine. You have been warned. Now it is your choice to continue living as if everything were a theory, or to start seeing the signs that are before your eyes. Watch the skies, question the leaders, be suspicious of the narratives, because when the new God arises, it will not be with horns and a trident. It will be with algorithms and promises of salvation. But behind the shine, there will be darkness. If this content resonated with you, like this video, share it and subscribe to the channel. This is the way to keep this message alive and ensure it reaches those who still need to awaken. You are listening to Final Frequency.